Hi, this is David. Welcome back to the channel, New Vintage Photography. Uh, Today we're going to discuss a little bit more about what we were briefly discussing on the last video. And that is recording with an old vintage camera, digital camera. And that's the Nikon D50. This is a little 6.1 megapixel camera. We were discussing it as an alternative to a heavier DSLR like my D700, which is now my go-to tool for professional, fun, whatever I need to do as far as photography goes. But this little, let me show it to you real quickly, see if we can get some focus on it. Yeah, it's coming in real good. This is a little D50. It's very small, compares to a lot of the mirrorless cameras. So we were also discussing last week pairing it with an old vintage lens, which is the Nikon 24 millimeter 2.1, that's the f-stop, AI or AIS lens. Having those little holes on those ears allow it to be married up to a digital camera. Otherwise you could damage the camera. So what we were discussing is being able to take that little camera out on the street. It'd be less obvious than, say, a bigger camera and a big lens. And if you want to maintain some degree of anonymity out there where you're not intimidating people with the camera or getting negative responses, pairing the little D50 to this lens makes you less obvious to the world. And what makes you even less obvious would be not putting that camera up to your eye and pointing it at people. It would be just holding it down in a normal position and firing off shots. Well, how can you do that without putting it up to your eye and focusing? That's what we're going to talk about right now. It's called zone focusing. And the way we zone focus is we preset things on the lens so that we don't have to put the camera up to our eye to focus. We find acceptable ranges of focus that are offered by this manual focus lens. Now, I went out yesterday and shot a few photos. It was a kind of a miserable, drizzly, cloudy day yesterday. I live in North Carolina. And so I wasn't really able to go downtown and do some shooting like I wanted to. But what I did find out by just messing around was that in order for me to get decent focus, I had to make my minimum shutter speed 125. 200 was ideal. So how does this zone focusing work? Well, we're not going to talk about hyper focus or anything. We're just going to talk about right now zone focusing. Now, if we look at this camera, this lens, we've got several things on here. Let me get really close. We've got an aperture indicator. Shows 2.8 to 22. We've got some numbers up there, which on this lens it shows the top, I believe, is feet. Yes, it is. So we've got from 1 foot, well, that's close, all the way to, see that little mark there? That's infinity, that little guy. So let's say I know I'm going to be shooting out on the street. I want to put my aperture, I want to set it at 11. Let's see what I got it set at right now. Well, look at there. I already got it set for 11. That black dot indicates it's over the 11. So I've got it set at 11. So for street photography, I like 11 to 16. That gives me a deeper focus, plane of focus that I'm going to have in focus. Outdoors, normally in the daytime, I'm going to have plenty of light at 11 or 16. In fact, there's a rule called Sunny 16, which you can use on nice sunny days. But anyway, we're back to the way I was doing it yesterday. So let's say I know, since I'm on the street, that I'm going to be shooting somewhere between, let's set this dude at 3. I'm going to put the little 3, that's the foot, 3 over the black dot. Now, if you look, the 11 is colored yellow. If you look at these lines above that, they've got colors too. The 22 is colored orangey. The 16 is kind of a blue cast. And the 11 is yellow. So, this is so bright, it's kind of casting a bad light over there. But let's say, okay, so we look at, there's a yellow line to the right of the dot and to the left of the dot. So if we go over here to the right, we can see that the yellow, let me get it out of the light, the yellow is going to be right around 2.5 feet. And to the other side, it's going to be 6. Let's say, normally, let me tell you what I would put it at. I would put it at 5. Because that's normally where I'm going to be shooting on the street, at 5 feet. With that setting, we're going to have the yellow. Again, let me get that glare off of it. The yellow is going to be at about 3 feet, and the yellow over here is going to be right at infinity. Wowzer. Okay, so now I know, gosh, that's a bright light. Let me dim that just a little bit. There we go. I know that if I'm out on the street, I can shoot anywhere from 3 feet to infinity. There's my dog. Part of my life. Sorry, folks. I'm going to be getting what is called acceptable focus out on the street. Now, what enhances that being acceptable focus is having my shutter speed fast enough that I don't get any blur from movement. So I have to practice good standard holding of the camera practices. And that's being steady when I take my shot. Now, the other thing that makes it easier to shoot street photos is to not be obvious. So if you're holding the camera down here rather than up here pointing it at people, you're going to be less noticeable. So you hold your camera steady, you figure what you want to take a shot at, and you take a shot. You don't have to waste time focusing, being obvious about it. Just point, shoot. You know, anything between 3 feet infinity is going to be an acceptable focus. And then you come back home, you take a look at it, and you'll be quite surprised. Now, I love black and white. Black and white really helps mask some problems you might have with color. But the way you get good at this is practicing. Take those little hints that I told you about setting up your using your focal scale to get acceptable focus between those certain points. It's called zone focusing, excuse me. And just go out and practice, and pretty soon you'll figure out what you need to do to get acceptable focus using that method. And it will just open up your street photography like you cannot believe. And it's fun. You just go out all day with a little camera hanging around your neck, not being obvious to anybody, just firing off shots here, there, and yonder, and then coming back home and seeing the results of your work. In some ways, I like this better than the new cameras where I have to mash back button, folks, or your shutter button to get focus. That wastes time. And in the studio, it's a different thing. If I'm doing portraits, yeah, I've got time to manual focus, nail that eye, adjust aperture to get the fall off that I want, or the get the depth of field that I want, the blurriness in the background. It's the easiest way to say it. But this makes it fun to just get out and shoot. And you know that I'm the biggest proponent of having fun. Now, what I'm telling you is just a suggestion. It's what I use. It's a tool that's brought me back into loving photography again. And I want you to have fun. Find ways to have fun. And ways to have fun for me was to stop seeking perfection. Perfection seemed only obtainable by buying the newest, fastest cameras, lenses, and thinking that I had to have that to please a client. Well, my friends, they have been shooting photos for a long time, getting paid, not using the equipment that we have today. Marketing's the name of the game for the camera manufacturers and the lens manufacturers. They have to grow. That's just the rule of business. But we're talking about the rules of creativity, of getting some soul satisfying results out of life. So try these little tools. Don't expect perfection. Make mistakes. The beauty of it is going out and practicing for the fun of it, and that for the fun of it will translate into really, really good camera skills. And the more you perfect your camera skills, the less you have to pay for equipment. You don't have to do it anyway, but you start letting the market, the equipment, whether it be camera or lenses, dictate how you shoot. And if you gain the right camera skills and practice enough, you can shoot professional photography spending a lot less money. Everything I've been talking about for the past month or so is saving money, not spending tons of money on camera gear. We're artists. Very few of us make tons of money doing our art. There's a few people. They're like about as rare as NFL starting quarterbacks, I guess. The rest of us are just trying to make a living doing something that we love to do. So don't let what you're making a living become something you don't like doing. That there's just too much stress involved, or there's too much money involved to enjoy it, that you're always behind the 8 ball. So I'm only making suggestions. I'm not telling anybody what to do. You're free to do whatever you want to do. If any of these techniques work for you, please let me know. We're at the end of the video again for today. I would certainly appreciate if you would subscribe, give a thumbs up, and comment and pass this channel on to other people. I'm still just growing it, but I'm feeling more and more comfortable with it, and I'm feeling more and more of a connection to y'all. Anyway, I love you, and I will see you the next video.